I'm really excited to tell you about the study I planned where we ask users what they want for that new feature that the vice president wanted us to.
Wait, you can't ask people what they want. Everybody knows that doesn't work. Once I was at the Rosewood Sand Hill in Menlo Park 4 years ago, and I talked to this random tech bro who had some random tech bro friend who worked at Google who said that you can never ask people what they want. That it is always wrong, all the time, always, 100% with no nuance, and context means absolutely nothing. So you're just incompetent, Mr. User Researcher Bunny. And I don't know why you're spitting this gibberish.
Well, I actually have a PhD in cognitive psychology, and
Are you questioning tech bro science in Silicon Valley from someone who maybe worked at Google with a PhD in cognitive science? Do you think that's more important than tech bro hearsay?
um, well, I think you should speak to credible sources instead of anecdotal ones.
Ugh, it's too hard. This is why it's so hard to work with user researchers. Oh, product managers just do research all themselves all the time. I'm always telling people.
Um, I
Don't you remember Ford? Ford said that if you ask someone what they want in a Tesla, you'll come up with a faster hippo. Do you want a faster hippo, Mr. Bunny?
no, is that what Ford said? And it was a, it was a faster horse, and he didn't really dig deep enough into their desires.
No. And Steve Jobs said users don't even know what they want. Between Steve Jobs and Henry Ford, do you think you're smarter than Steve Jobs and Henry Ford, Mr. User Researcher Bunny?
Um, well, I mean, I think they had interesting perspectives, but I think their flaws in their arguments.
Oh, I just can't do this. I don't want you to do this study. I find it invalid based on what Tech Bros told me down in Menlo Park at the Rosewood Sand Hill, where Silicon Valley used to go to find love on Thursday nights. Look it up.
Oh no, he's not listening to me. I don't know what to do. Time to go and do some more drugs.
No, Mr. Bunny. I told you that drugs are not the answer.
They're not?
Don't act surprised. We talked about this last time.
Yeah, that's right.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sethberg. I have a PhD in experimental psych from Columbia and a mixed methods researcher. I'm the CEO of Cognitive Singularities, a user research design and training firm. You can see the link in this post. Well, Mr. Bunny, I'm going to give you a couple of tips and perspectives that will help you make arguments when you want to test what people desire, and tips that will help you make sure you do it in the best way possible.
Oh, great.
Okay, so let's address Ford and Jobs first. So, Henry Ford. Henry Ford said that if you asked people what they wanted, they would say they want a faster horse. But the problem here is that people index way too much on literally what people said. The goal wasn't to get their solution. The goal was to get their desire. They had a desire for more speed, basically. And you could say everyone wants more speed, like whatever. But you could have dug deeper on it. You know they want more speed. You could have asked, like, how much would you pay for twice as much speed as a horse right now, or 4 times as much speed? And I'm not even saying those pricing calculations would have been like perfect predictors, but it was more about what they wanted and the why. It wasn't about the user's solution. It's not the user's job to come up with solutions. It's the user's job to come up with desires. And so if the user tells you what they want and they give you a potential solution, what matters is to use that solution as a springboard to ask them why do they want the solution? What is it about the solution that they like? And that's of value. Also, user feedback is just one input into design thinking. It was never on the shoulders of the user to come up with solutions. They just give us data that we think we use as a team, in addition to our own expertise, to come up with great solutions, and we relay it back to users. We'll get into this more as we go along. So let's talk about Jobs. That actually gets at the second point better. Jobs said people don't know what they want.
They don't?
So the truth is that sometimes people do know what they want, and there are instances where the solutions users come up with are pretty close to what you should build. We'll get to that later. But it's true, most people wouldn't have conceptualized the iPhone. Virtual reality is another domain people probably wouldn't have conceptualized on their own. But what they would have told you are desires they had. And that can be very valuable. And so I think what Jobs is getting at is that your design team, their expertise, their talents, they're the ones that could probably come up with the best solutions. And he's not wrong about that. But I think you really need a nuanced, balanced view of all this. Users can come up with solutions, and those solutions might be really good starting points. They could also be inspiring. Maybe the whole solution isn't that great, but one feature is good. It might even just even if the solution's wrong, it might be inspiration for something better. So, it's kind of view it in a more open-minded way, in a more holistic way. No one ever said you had to do what the user told you to do. Where did this come from? A tech bro science? Yes, probably. Um, it's just an input. You don't need to give it any more weight than it deserves. It's an input for the team to take into consideration, given their expertise and their talents. And as a team exercise, they're going to brainstorm different solutions. The user feedback is going to be one part of it. Now, the user feedback actually gets really helpful if you keep asking users what they want, as you take one prototype and you keep making it better and better, more realistic and more realistic and more interactive. You keep going back to users and back to users as you enhance it. And you're going to see something called triangulation, where the users keep wanting things. They engage more and more with the interactive prototype if it's truly something they want. Eventually, they'll even do a diary study where they can use it at home or not use it at home. And do you see that they're using it when they don't need to? Do they naturally on their own use the product? Well, then you know that they really want it. It is true. And eventually, you even release in a beta group with even more users. And if you're seeing you're getting good engagement, then your hypothesis was correct. So you're going to figure out down the road if you were wrong. But if you keep testing and keep increasing what we call fidelity of the prototype, how realistic it is and how interactive it is, you'll know if you got it wrong and you'll be able to course correct. So it's all really just fine. User feedback is a valuable input to design thinking. So what's design thinking? A second concept that's very useful.
Oh, good.
Design thinking is the concept that we create things in teams and we take prototypes and we test them with users and we get feedback and we repeat the process. And one principle of design thinking is that we can brainstorm ideas as teams with teammates. So UX designers, product managers, researchers, even engineering, marketing, people have valuable perspectives, and we come together. We think about what could be good solutions. We come up and brainstorm a lot of them. There are a lot of smart people. There are a lot of smart design people that will be able to tell what a good solution is. And so it was never that one person had to come up with it, whether it's a user or a single designer. We come up with solutions collaboratively, and we get feedback along the way. So design thinking is a very important perspective, and user feedback of what people want, their desires, and potential solutions is one helpful feedback to that design thinking process. It's not the end of the process. It's just an input to that process. So let's go over some examples when users are more likely to get it right for what they want and something they will actually use, and what could be close to the final solution that design and product try to make, or when it's maybe they're a bit off or it's not the full picture. So when you have like a problem space that's very small, let's think about mail merge. If you ask people in the 90s, what do they want in email, people in marketing, they very well could have told you, like, man, I really wish I had this program where it could automatically take emails and names and help me rapidly message people one by one and just tweak it a little bit. And I wouldn't have to keep copying and pasting and all these things. They basically would describe a mail merge, right? And that probably is essentially the solution, because there aren't too many solutions in that space, at least at first. And the solution is kind of an obvious one. So if a solution is really obvious and there aren't like so many different solutions to get the job done, it's like a pretty narrow problem space and solution space, then users are probably right. The more it relates to their habits and pain points, things you've seen in other research studies, triangulation, more likely they'll represent what they truly want. An example where it probably maybe doesn't represent or is not as likely to is if you have a really huge problem space, like you asked a user, what do you want in a metaverse? And it was a huge question. It's not that they're wrong in what they say they want, but there's just a lot of parts to a metaverse, right? So you might get too many diverse responses. And it's not that they necessarily may or may not want what they say. It could be the case. It's just such an abstract question that, it's more likely the desires may or may not result in something they want because they don't have a good idea of what it is you're asking them. It's like such a broad question. It's not wrong to ask broad questions, but here's what I would say. In that instance, take what they've said and you can come up with prototypes of, say, so in the metaverse, I want to have a ton of fun. I want a roller coaster park or something. Well, they're just telling you the kinds of things they think would be cool in the metaverse. So you solution what you think would be a cool world, show it to them and see if they like it. And like we talked before, keep upping the interactivity of the prototype and you'll see over time if it's something they really want. And if something they don't really want, you'll hopefully figure that out pretty quickly. So if it's a really big problem space, it might be just too murky for them to tell you what they want with confidence or just too many solutions. That's also where prioritization comes into play. it's not always that users don't want what they say they want. It's that you can't build everything, right? So you need to figure out what are the top 3 to 5 things they want for a particular product, and then prioritize them and build the things that are of the highest priority, right? So they might want something that might be a very low level solution. They might want 100 things. You can't build 100 things, right? So come into this with a sense of prioritization. I always ask them to prioritize the things they want and understand what are the top 3 things they want in the problem space. That will help you get at the things that you should be building that will be high impact, not just any old thing that you could build and they like it, but it's not high impact and it's not going to make a big difference in their buying behavior or their engagement behavior. Okay, so keep that in mind. The third thing I want to say is if the user base is really diverse. So take about the metaverse, right? You're asking everyone in the world what they want in the metaverse, which is a product that theoretically everyone should be part of. You're going to get every different type of person, every different socioeconomic status, every different type of location they could live in, language, culture, which is an amazing thing. But it makes sense that you're going to get a potentially more diverse desires and more diverse things that they want, especially with a really open-ended question. So when you have a really big user base, it's not that people aren't saying what they want, but it may not encapsulate what the majority wants or what most people want or what you think you should build. So just keep that in mind. See what patterns you're seeing across user types, user groups, and what can you build that everyone will like or most people will like in your target user base. Just keep that in mind. Okay, great. So we went over design thinking, we went over triangulation. Now let's go over what research has to say about all this. So the truth is research on how you, like the science behind figuring out what people want and what they will buy or what they will end up using, it's all over the place. You're going to find articles that say you can do it, articles that you can't. Look at Harvard Business Review. It's not very conclusive. What I would say is look at these articles, but pay careful attention to the tasks used. Pay careful attention to the study design. What was it? The domain space, what users were tested. How did they gauge success? Was it if someone bought an app? Was it they wanted to use an app at home? All of this matters when you're evaluating the work. All of this will dictate how much you think you should generalize it. But my stance is this. Hopefully we keep doing research and we get at more scientific answers to this problem.
That would be great.
But in the meantime, I think there's some principles that really help you so you can feel confident you're not going to do anything that will give you bad results and you're maximizing everything. Do ask users what they want. In subsequent videos, I'll get more at what a leading question is and what a specific question is and how sometimes people often worry about questions that are leading which aren't really leading. And I'll go over the art of asking these things. But generally, just have a natural conversation. It's generally the most important thing. Don't worry too much about these other things. I will get to them later, though. And you ask people what they want, ask them about potential solutions. Use it as an input, not the final answer, to your design team. I mean team as in not just designers who are great, but product managers, all of the teammates working together. Brainstorm solutions. Take them back to the users. Figure out the ones they like the most. Why do they like them the most? Which ones do they use the most when given the option to use different things? And keep upping the fidelity of the prototype. Keep making it more and more immersive, more interactive, and see what results you get. And do an iterative research process. And keep going back to your team. Keep always ask why they want what they want. And I really think you'll be very successful. And asking people what they want in the beginning will be a fruitful input to this whole process. Again, the big picture thing is it's not the only input. And you don't have to do what users tell you. Just treat it as a cognitive construct. But they thought of the solution, cool. Why do they think of the solution? What's their desire? And you'll be very successful if you think of it that way. Great. Does that help, Mr. Bunny?
Oh, it sure does.
Why don't you talk to Mr. Product Parrot and reframe your desire to ask what they want using the principles we talked about, design thinking and triangulation and all these things.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Parrot. Triangulation, design thinking, research input, design thinking, triangulation.
Oh, okay. Now I understand that what users say they want is one input to a design thinking process with many of my teammates, and I'm going to iterate many different prototypes over time, and with that approach with users, constantly testing with them, and always digging into the why they want certain things or certain solutions, and understanding the power of my team's ability to come up with solutions, I feel confident that could be of value. And I don't worry that we will make any mistakes. In fact, I think we'll be really helpful, and maybe that tech bro at Menlo Park actually was wrong. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It really helped me.
You're welcome, Mr. Bunny. If you need any help with user research training, design, or some a la carte research help, quant or qual, please reach out to me. I'm at cognitivesimilarities.com, and you can book a 30-minute free consultation at calendly.com. I have the link in this post. Awesome. Hope you enjoyed this video, and there'll be more to come. And hope you all have a great day. Thanks. Bye.